Mo nodded. Thank you, Elder Jingxi, for taking care of me these years. Jingxi called her, Mo. She asked, is there anything else, Elder? After thinking for a moment, Jingxi said, you're about to break through to the transformation deity realm, go ahead. But Mo shook her head. My family is still suffering. If I stay obsessed, my heart demon will form. Hearing this, Jingxi didn't stop her. Indeed, go ahead. Be careful. Mo made up her mind. If I can return safely this time, Mo will be loyal to the elder and will meet again in the future. Mo walked down the steps alone. Suddenly, she turned sharply, there's an unknown presence. Mo looked up at the nearby mountains and smiled slightly. Stubborn ghost, I know you're concerned about me, but what humans seek is not just their own safety. Mo walked in the sunlight. In my life, besides you, there's also my brother and my family. Hanju stood at the mountain top, arms crossed, watching her. You've discovered yourself, even though you've hidden it well. Hanju looked at Mo. The world is treacherous. If you can recognize and avoid threats, I can relax. Go ahead. He looked at the mark on the back of Mo's neck. There are 6 marks here. Even if you unfortunately die, I will still be able to find you. Mo walked briskly in the sunlight and wind. Hanju took out a booklet. If anyone dares to harm Mo, they will be immediately killed, including those at the 5th level of Tribulation Crossing. He looked at a few names written in the booklet. Mo Yuling will no longer curse you. I hope you can arrange things properly for yourself. Suddenly, Hanju muttered to himself, it seems I should thank my parents for abandoning me, it saved me quite a bit of trouble. The grass behind him, carrying a fishing rod, asked in confusion, parents? The little girl stepped forward and asked, Master, where are your parents? Hanju replied, so many years have passed. They may have long turned to bones, but it's also possible that they're still alive. The grass behind him foolishly asked, then why didn't Master go find them earlier? Hanju was silent in response to this question, lost in thought. He recalled his childhood. Hanju as a child sat watching his parents talk. Back then, I was young, didn't understand, didn't get what my parents meant. I only remember my father mentioning a place and saying that taking the child along was troublesome. I also don't remember much else. They might have been planning to escape. In the end, they said they were going out for a while and would be back soon to pick me up. I've remembered that sentence ever since. From that day on, I never saw my parents return. Hanju also recalled the time when he worked with everyone in the grass, and Elder Tai had launched a search operation. Soon after, the team returned, obviously with bad news. He also remembered Elder Tai's expression at that time. Elder Tai's face looked grim as he said, they went there. How could that be? Because I was young, Elder Tai didn't tell me the truth, but I worked hard every day, ate the food from home. And even without being told, I knew the answer. Uncle Jean said to Hanju, I've left the chili on the eggs. For you. Don't let it sting you. If you face any difficulty, you can always turn to the Jean family. Later, when Elder Tai was on his deathbed, he wanted to see me, probably to speak on behalf of my parents. It was then that I gave up. Actually, I didn't need Elder Tai's reminder. The system had already reminded me. Deep down. The emotional and hatred mechanisms, if they still remembered me, would surely feel affection. Hanju remembered sitting by the window, staring into the distance. I once fantasized that my parents' names would appear on my friends list, but they never did. He lowered his head, his eyes filled with sadness, and Hanju coldly said, you're dead. Why would I waste my time? He said to the grass, everyone has their own desires. I can't force others to act according to mine. The people around me can stay, but I will never let them become cannon fodder. He looked at Mo happily walking forward. Hanju philosophically said, this cultivation path is destined to be lonely. In the end, the only one responsible is yourself. And my only goal is immortality. The grass happily said, Master, don't worry. I'll always be by your side. Hanju shook his head, it's hard to say. Accidents from outside aren't something we can control. If one day, they too, for unavoidable reasons, can't let go and want to leave, I won't force them to stay. After a while, the grass cheerfully asked, Master, would you like to go fishing with me? The G family says. Now is a good season with plenty of big fish. Hanju nodded, all right, work and rest need to be balanced. By the river, the wooden chicken asked, Master, why did you let Fong Liang go? Everyone fell silent. Ever since Fong Liang left the mountain, everyone had felt uncomfortable. 2 years and 6 months later, the wooden chicken extended its wings. It caught the ball that flew from somewhere. Enthusiastically, it used its wings to hit the ball. It even knew how to throw the ball high into the air. It turned around and shook, causing the ball to fall to the ground, scaring it for a moment. Jioding stood behind, watching the wooden chicken's entire sequence of movements, silently wondering, what is it doing, dancing? Is this chicken trying to make friends? Inside the cave, Hanju asked, what brings the sect leader here? Jioding said, Elder Han, good news. He sat at the tea table and said to Hanju, just as you predicted, even though we didn't intervene, the demon Dao won't succeed. Hanju asked, what's going on? Did someone from the Holy Land go down to fight? Jioding took a sip of tea and nodded, exactly, Elder Han, you truly are insightful. The Celestial Fairy Palace has sent someone. You should have heard of Li Qioma from the 5 demon sects. He has a long-standing grudge with the Celestial Fairy Palace and other holy lands. He explained to you, the ancestor of the heavenly immortals was seriously injured by him back then. To take revenge, he sent out the strongest disciple of the Tianjiao, who forcefully slaughtered those demon cultivators in front of us. Now, they've scared people to the point of mental collapse. You know, the Tianjiao just turned 1,000 years old. Hanju thought, this can't be true. How could he have killed Li Qioma? At least he should have reached the Great Ascension stage. Are the Tianjiao outside that terrifying? Zhu Ding shook his head, I'm not sure about this, but it shouldn't be that exaggerated. Hanju looked up and thought for a moment before asking, if Li Qioma is already dead, does that mean the demon path has stopped the war? Zhu Ding didn't rush to answer and sighed, this tea is really good. Then he said, completely the opposite. While Li Qioma's death has caused panic among low-level demon cultivators, it has deepened the conflicts within the upper echelons of the demon path. It's said that the other 4 great beings of the demon path have appeared. And one of them has reached the 8th level of the Great Ascension. The situation is really not looking good. Hanju didn't quite understand and asked again, is the 8th level of the Great Ascension the strongest existence in the demon path? Zhu Ding nodded, it should be. There are records of the 9th level of the Great Ascension in the mortal realm. He asked, why? Zhu Ding answered, most of them were forcibly ascended. Hanju recalled Qing Jun's words, if anyone asks about the Qingmeng, you can't admit it was you who did it. Just say that the real culprit was me. He thought, would Qing Jun be involved? She doesn't seem to be entirely on the side of the demon path. With such strength, what is she still cautious about? It should be fine. At this moment, the system reminded him, and Zhu Ding spoke up at the same time, Elder Han, the war between the righteous and the demon paths, we should no longer be able to avoid it. Hanju glanced at the system. Announcement, have you checked if the person with the special destiny and luck has viewed the source? Hanju curiously opened the information panel, and the system displayed the information about the person with special destiny and luck. Ji Tianchen, 9th level of the tribulation transcending realm, born with an invincible heart, believes. He is the only true heavenly god, extremely arrogant, born in the heavenly immortal mansion, 100-year-old golden core, 200-year-old Yuaning. He is the strongest Tianjiao in the history of the heavenly immortal mansion. Always in seclusion, only emerging due to the war between the righteous and demon paths. It is said that Guan Yu of the Yuqing sect is the #1 cultivator in the world and specially came to challenge him. Hanju was surprised, the strongest Tianjiao of the heavenly immortal mansion, wait, could it be He immediately turned and asked, Master Zhu Ding, the person who killed Li Qiuma, is his name Ji Tianchen? Zhu Ding asked in confusion, what? Tianchen? Hanju repeated, Ji Tianchen. Zhu Ding still didn't understand, what Tian? Hanju asked straightforwardly, you don't know? Zhu Ding looked at the sky holding his teacup, I'm not sure, the news has spread too far, and much information has been lost. Hanju stood up and walked outside, saying to Zhu Ding, Master, continue drinking. I'm stepping out for a while. Hanju thought to himself. Since the reminder was given, it means the person is nearby, someone probably has ill intentions. He walked out the door while thinking, Ji Tianchen is extremely arrogant, the previous leader was also arrogant. Does the Heavenly Immortal Mansion specifically train these narcissists? These two people are equally powerful, their ages are similar. And their cultivation levels surpass countless peers. The Heavenly Immortal Mansion is deeper than I imagined. The system sent a new notification. The strongest of the heavenly sect, Ji Tianchen, 9th level of the Tribulation Transcending Realm, initiating simulation training. The system created a simulation of Ji Tianchen for Hanju. This is Ji Tianchen, the strongest Tianjiao, indeed has an imposing presence. Tianchen stood there holding a sword. Hanju looked at him, even the 4th level of the Great Ascension might not be my match, let alone the 9th level of the Tribulation Transcending Realm. I should be able to control him within 10 seconds. At this moment, Ji Tianchen smiled. He lifted his foot. A bleeding wound immediately appeared on Hanju's face. His eyes glanced at the object that just flew by, metal fragments. Hanju quickly rolled to avoid it, his speed not inferior to Qing Jun. He leaned back, this doesn't look like a sword technique, what kind of trick is this? An attack that ripped through the air flew past Hanju's ear. Ji Tianchen charged at Hanju with his sword. Hanju flipped in the air, tightly gripping his sword hilt, Hongmeng Judgment Sword. With a single strike, he exploded and cut off the interconnected metal fragments. The heavenly god stood firmly, holding a sword made of fragments. Hanju was surprised, controlling a sword made of fragments with qi, using this power to restrict spiritual energy, it's truly unreasonable. He suddenly realized something was wrong and looked down at the fragments that had just risen from the ground. Not good, there's another part. The heavenly god slightly moved his lips, gather, and hundreds of thousands of fragments immediately flew up, returning to his sword. At the same time, he launched an attack on Hanju's body. The heavenly god approached Hanju like lightning. Hanju sighed, not even giving me a chance to rest. Hanju pointed forward, reincarnation sword intent. The heavenly god easily blocked it. He stared blankly at Hanju in front of him. Suddenly, multiple versions of Hanju appeared around him, utilizing the sevenfold mirage step. All. The Hanjus opened their eyes, 3 pure celestial circulation, and they all launched an attack on the heavenly god. The area where they stood gathered light like the center of the Milky Way. The heavenly god smiled, interesting. Do you think I can't block it? He turned and used a secret technique, his body emitting layers of light, surrounding him like a cocoon. Heavenly immortal secret transmission, flowing light sword. Hanju widened his eyes, the 3 pure celestial circulation was blocked, and there's an aura of someone who has broken through to the great ascension level. How is that possible? The heavenly god arrogantly pointed at himself, this shield is immune to the next 3 attacks. It has blocked one, but after this, you probably won't have a chance. He created a large light circle again, exploding heavenly will to restore order. Hanju was hit and flew backward, I underestimated the enemy. The weapon changes are peculiar, the spiritual control is at its peak, the speed is comparable to the Great Ascension, plus the protective secret technique. It even temporarily breaks through to reach its limit. So far, you are the first person at this level to force me to this extent. Hanju fell to the ground, no wonder you could break through the level and kill Li Qiuma at the 4th level of the Great Ascension. He trembled as he hugged his stomach and sat up. The heavenly god walked up to Hanju and said, your swordsmanship is excellent, but don't forget, your body is still like this and can only be suppressed. He smiled, to die at the hands of the strongest of the heavenly immortals is your supreme honor. I've won this battle. Relax and accept death. His heart had no other pursuits. After a while, not understanding why the simulated heavenly god was lying on the ground, he muttered, "Why can't my killing move break the defense?" Hanju stood there, rubbing his chin and nodding. This armor is specially designed to defend against high-level metal attacks. Your wind metal attack can be blocked. However, the internal injuries from the shock are real. System notification, simulation trial has ended. The system's voice still rang out, time taken, 40 seconds. Hanju looked at the heavenly god's body, which had been split in two, and sighed, fighting at this level for so long. I'll never forget you in this life, Ji Tianqian. Hanju returned to reality, thinking, this is getting hard to handle. If I can't defeat a tribulation transcending realm master in one hit, I'm afraid I won't be able to defend the Yuqing sacred sect. Suddenly, a sound caught Hanju's attention. It was the sound of a flute. The flute sound echoed around. Hanju sensed something was off. Wait, it's increasingly sounding like a magical transmission. He turned his head to look at the two people sitting and fishing. Zun Chang'an, didn't Xiaohei hear that? Could it not be him? Suddenly, someone appeared in front of Hanju. A strong enemy is coming. Hanju asked, Elder Dooku has noticed too? Dooku said, friend, it seems only those in the tribulation transcending realm can hear the sound of the flute. If they are sneaking in to provoke, it would be better for me to teach them a lesson. Hanju looked at him, let me go instead, you are not his match. He's in the 9th level of tribulation transcending. Dooku widened his mouth, 9th level of tribulation transcending? He then recalled Hanju's calm tone. Such a calm tone, what level of cultivation do you have to see through his details? The sound of the flute echoed through the forest. The heavenly immortal sat on a tree branch, playing the flute. He opened his eyes and heard someone ask, what does this searching technique you are using mean? The heavenly immortal looked at Hanju across from him and introduced himself. I am Ji Tianqian from the heavenly immortal mansion. I heard there is a great cultivator named Guan Yu in the Yuqing sacred sect, claimed to be the #1 in the world. I want to challenge him. Hanju murmured, Guan Yu. He looked at Ji Tianqian, here to take revenge? Hanju answered him, he left a long time ago, over 100 years ago. The heavenly immortal was stunned, where did he go? Hanju said, he went to deal with the demon Dao. The heavenly immortal was silent for a while and then asked, then how about you and I have a match? No life-threatening harm? Hanju shook his head, forget it, I'm not your match. The heavenly immortal smiled, anyone who can hear my flute must be in the tribulation transcending realm, but I can't see through your cultivation. You must be very strong. He pointed at Hanju, am I right, Guanyin Chang? Hanju squinted, the records say this person is extremely arrogant. If I defeat him too easily, it might provoke him. If I slip up, I could be killed. It's unavoidable, I must argue with the heavenly immortal mansion. The heavenly immortal shrugged and continued, Yun Chang, I know what you're thinking. Don't worry. I, Ji Tianqian, swear by my talent that I will not kill you in this fight. Hanju remained silent, truly arrogant. He calmly looked at the heavenly immortal and asked, if I win, will you stop bothering me, or will it turn into hatred? The heavenly immortal proudly slapped his chest, no, I truly wouldn't dare. I am invincible in this world, how could I hold a grudge against you? Hanju immediately sighed and lowered his head, you can say such things. You really are invincible in the world. He pointed at Hanju, how about this, let's compete with spiritual power, using palm techniques. Whoever steps back first loses. Hanju nodded, fine, let's fly to the sky so it won't affect the disciples of my sect. The heavenly immortal agreed, all right. The two immediately vanished from their tree branches, leaving behind 2 red and green streaks. They flew towards the sky. Dooku looked up at the sky and was shocked, 2 tribulation transcending auras, Taoist Zhanshan has made his move.